think we're all good.
Yeah,
I think we're looking fine.
We're looking good. We're looking good. Excellent. I mean, while you're doing that, I was looking at trying to get something more like Pokemon inspired, like colourful wall posters. Something on those lines. Like the wall, you can see the white walls behind us. Those might not be able to on some of the other platforms, but I need some new Pokemon posters.
Well, I'll stop you right there. Have I got some good news for you? Lilycove department store of all places, they reached out to be our sponsor for today's Pokecast, Michael. They will have all of your Pokemon needs, including various different posters you could put up on that wall of yours. So head over, and on the 5th floor, you'll have all the posters you could ask for. Just mention PokéCast with Brad and Mike at checkout for 20%. Yes, that's 20% off on your purchase.
Unreal. Shout out to the Lilycove Department Centre in the Hoenn region. Shout out. Unbelievable.
There it is.
Unbelievable.
There it is.
Bradley, we've done it. We've made it.
Yeah.
It's our first
We've
podcast.
been sponsored.
We've been sponsored on our very first episode of our very first podcast, mate. You cannot go wrong. You cannot write it. Hello, everyone. Lilycove, indeed. Right. Hello, I know, right? Hello, everyone. I'm Pokemon Trainer Mike, and I'm with the wonderful, amazing Bradley.
Hello.
I don't know what you were going to do there. I generally thought you were going to just like jump up or... No, you do you, man. This is a Pokemon podcast called the PokéCast that myself and Brad have been thinking about for some time now, and we finally had an opportunity to sit down and do it. So here we are, essentially talking all things Pokemon to you lovely listeners for 30-plus-ish minutes of your time, right? That's what we're going to be doing.
Exactly. I mean, we end up talking every day about Pokemon anyway, in some form or another. And since doing the Who Wants to Be a Pokemon Air, shout out to that on the channel.
Cheeky little plug there.
There it is. We've just been talking about it, and then just naturally like, well, let's just record these conversations, and then things started moving, and 3 days later, here we are.
It has been that rapidly fast. It was like, so we a little thing, right? We voice note, right? So we're one of those people that we don't text, right? We don't text. No. We send each other 15-minute voice notes. No, that's a good day, right? It's not that.
That's
long.
A good day.
That's a good day. I mean, you've just you've just done a 5-kilometer walk today, for example, listening to 14 minutes of me in your ear. We don't listen to music. Right, especially when I'm driving, I'll listen to Brad's voice. Right, that's what happens. Right, and we were literally, I was brainstorming as we normally do for content on the channel, and then I suddenly just went, "Oh, can you imagine a podcast? No, we got to do a podcast." And then it was just suddenly like, actually, we talk about this stuff all the time. Let's go, let's do it. Absolutely incredible, so good. So
bear with us while we find our feet. We're just gonna have a good time, and I hope everyone else sort of enjoys it. And whether you're in the shower, you're walking down the street, you're driving to and from work, or you're just relaxing or cooking in the kitchen, you can just chuck this on and
listen to our desolate tones, right? Listen to our desolate tones.
That's right.
So what can you expect from a podcast, right? So I think it's going to be different every time. It's going to be very much Pokemon oriented every single time, all the way through. We'll change what we're talking around each week, each time we push one of these out. I mean, is it fair to is it time to say what we're going to kind of discuss in this one?
I'd say, we have we're going to have an overarching theme of each of the episodes.
Yeah, man.
Mainly, we're going to just talk about what we are excited to talk about, right? What we're kind of passionate, like where it goes. We're not going to hold ourselves too strongly to a certain subject, but the overarching theme for this episode is going to be Generation 1. So the Kanto region, not to be mistaken by the Johto region.
As we talked around in the pre-production, yes, we're not touching that. We're not touching.
No. Kanto, very, very, very clearly Kanto.
Where it all began.
Wherever we go. We'll have a few little random bits and bobs throughout. Of course, words from our sponsor. We've got that out of the way now. So just
shout out to the Lilycove department store, right? Shout out to those guys.
Yeah, and just mention PokéCast with Brad and Mike, 20% off.
Hey, there you go. There you are. If you want a Charizard poster or a fun or a cool poster, that's where you need to be. Anyway, enough of a sponsor. We'll talk about them later, right? We'll talk about them later. So Gen 1's where it all began, right? Certainly was for me.
Yeah. I remember being... I picked up Pokemon... my mum actually got me Pokemon Red. No, it wasn't. It was Pokemon Blue. Sorry. It was Pokemon Blue.
Pokemon Blue.
With the Blastoise on the back, I think it was, in the cartridge. And so when I was younger, I was in hospital a lot. And I don't remember why too much, but I remember being in there a lot. And my mum got me this green brick. And I was like, what's this green brick, Mum?
You're going to see a Game Boy, aren't you? I love it already.
And she said, oh, this is a Game Boy. And I'm like, oh, is it? And she's like, yeah. Would you like to play it? And I was like, oh, sure. I don't really know how to, but... And Pokemon Blue, there it was inside. I launched it up, and it just absolutely took me by storm. It was incredible. The 8-bit soundtrack, to the animations, to the pictures, and the idea of not knowing anything in a different world where we didn't have the internet, we didn't have things to teach us.
Good Lord, you're right. Yeah, man.
We just went in and we were like, what do we do? And there's something just so magical about going into this and not having any experience with anything else, and, you know, learning. And I loved bringing like catching. I know there are people who would go with their starter and that's all they would do. They would just blast through everything.
Yeah.
But I had like this rule in my head where for some reason I wanted all my Pokemon to be the same, and like, you know, I wanted to try and make sure they were all treated nicely. And yeah, that's how I got started into Pokemon. That was that journey.
What a lush story, mate. No, you're right when you're saying. Do you mean that you needed to have every single Pokemon at the exact... So your part, your 6, that had to be the exact same level?
Within a couple, right? I wasn't super like... It had to be exactly the same, because I would always have my starter like a couple of levels ahead. So I would have it at the back on gym battles and stuff.
Standby.
So it's now time to throw in the big boy. You know?
Here comes Charizard. So what was your starter?
It was Squirtle.
Okay.
So I had Pokemon Blue, so I don't know, I think I was right? 6 or 7.
Yeah.
And I just remember seeing them all, and I was like, these all look cool, but something just called Squirtle just called out to me, and it was a tank, like Blastoise, like Wartortle was amazing as well. Wartortle, I don't remember what he learned. I don't think it was Slash or anything, but he was a beast, you know, real beast. But Blastoise, when I saw him evolve into Blastoise, I was like, look at those rocket launchers, you know.
Unreal. It was so
incredible.
Good.
It was incredible. So yeah, Blastoise was for me. I'm pretty sure for you, I think it was Charmander, if I'm not mistaken.
It wasn't. It wasn't.
What?
So, very quick follow-up question before I answer that. Then, so had you seen the anime or anything before you'd picked up Blue? So Pokemon was brand new. You'd been handed this game cartridge, and that was your first ever experience with Pokemon.
Yeah, that was it.
Man, I don't know. I've got goosebumps about that. I don't know why that is just. It's such a lush.
Soon after, I was introduced to. It was on TV somewhere. It was on. God, what was the program it was on? Sky One or something? I don't know. It wasn't that. It was just something that was showing. It would have been
like would it not been like ITV or something like that? I'm sure ITV after school had Pokemon on.
Yeah, it was after school, right, on ITV. It must have been, right? Must have been ITV.
The 90s, man. The 90s. Oh wow.
It was so good. I was addicted. I was like, I just loved Ash, and I loved like the adventures, and it just felt it felt like a whole new world. Like there was this massive world that you wanted to learn all about and to see what happened next. I didn't. There was no chronological order back then. You would get back from school and ITV would just be playing a random episode. It could be the
just straight in.
You would just love it. It was so great.
It was interesting. So the reason I asked that because I found a lot of people had watched the anime, which then made them buy the games after, and then that thingy their choice of what they were choosing through the game. So it's interesting to see that was your first experience of Pokemon was just getting the games, because actually I don't think I've had many people who have said that. They've all either watched it or heard of it or seen it and then got into it rather than fresh. So that's lush, mate. That's lush. But
like I will say, the anime definitely made me pick up a Pidgey.
Without a doubt.
I didn't want a Pidgeot, actually, originally. I wanted that Pidgeotto, Ash's Pidgeotto. It was just like...
Second or third episode, straight in there with catching a Pidgeotto. It was sick, man. It was sick. But no, I didn't... it wasn't Charmander. So my first Pokemon game was... Okay. It was my... 9 years old. No, can't remember. But it was a birthday, and I remember... So background first. So the Pokemon games used to come out, I feel like, middle summer-ish time in the UK, round about that time, because everyone around us had the new games before me. So Red and Blue came out, everyone in the street had a Game Boy, either the big chunky classic one with like the grey Game Boy with the pink A and B button. Some of them had that. Some of them had the Game Boy Color. People were playing Red and Blue, and I never got that. And my little brother actually got Pokemon Red before me with the purple Game Boy. I think that might have been his birthday. Anyway, I can't remember, but he'd had it first, so I'd seen it. And obviously, at this point, my birthday's in March, right? So that's whole of summer into autumn and winter, Christmas and all that jazz, and seeing people have it. And then my birthday came around in March, and I can remember it to this day. I remember being downstairs. It was before I went to school. I remember opening it up, and I got my first copy of it was the turquoise Game Boy Color, and I had a copy of Pokemon Yellow, and that was my first game. So Red and Blue had happened, Yellow had come out, and my first Pokemon game was Pokemon Yellow, and mate, like that just... my mind just exploded. So I'm slightly different in your perspective. So I'd seen Pokemon, I'd seen the anime, people playing the games, everything, and I was hooked immediately. And any chance I got to go on somebody else's go to have a quick go, and when I finally got it, I was like you felt like you earned it, right? I was like, this is mine. Like, this is my Pokemon. Like, and it just, it's so good. It's so good. And I never dropped that. I'm pretty sure my mum's got photographs of me like after school in my school uniform, like sat there, like not talking to anybody, like this, just playing through it, mate. But I still remember. I mean, the first time I saw Pokemon, I'd been to my grandparents' house. One of my cousins had, referring back to that big chunky Game Boy, that original one, right? And they had that, and it was either Red or Blue. Not sure which one it was. And I remember him. It was either in a gym battle or he was battling the Elite Four, one of the two. And I just remember the soundtrack, to your point, around that 8-bit music, and Charizard coming out the ball. And obviously it was black and white there, because Yellow had a stroke of colour when it was the Game Boy Color, but it was purely black and white. And I just remember seeing the image of Charizard, and I just being like, what is this? And then there's no looking back. 20, how many years later? Like nearly 30 years later, going on, like it's magical, mate. It is magic.
I also want a tangent on something here, and it was just something that came to mind. What was the Pokemon game that you really got into? So, like when we were kids, obviously, like we played Pokemon, right? We played it. But when was it that you really like noticed yourself like investing into it? Like not investing like in money and stuff, but like all the memories of where you were more conscious and you were like more like, wow, this is I really want to be playing this, rather than like, oh, I'm a kid, I don't really know what I'm doing, but hey, this is great. But when did you start actively going, yes, I'm in control, and I'm this is it, this is the time? Which Pokemon game was that for you?
It's Ruby and Sapphire.
That's exactly the same with me.
100%.
Exactly the same.
Like
exactly.
Like so playing through a kid on Yellow was amazing. Like I still remember, I remember key points. I remember times I got stuck. Still to this day, I remember key achievements. And then equally, I never got gold or silver. I actually got crystal. And not that I asked, that was what was given, and I'm very humble for that. And I played crystal, amazing. But once I'd passed those, and you get a little bit older, more people, talk about it and everything. I remember to this day, there was a Pokemon magazine that used to be selling in the shop. It wasn't an official one. I think it was called Poker World, I think it was, and they'd had screen grabs of what looked like a Game Boy Advance iteration of Pokemon, and I remember seeing it for the first time. There was an Ordale town, the screenshot, and it was the main character, and he was fishing in like little water just south of the Pokemon Center. And I remember seeing that first time, and then surfing, by the way, in the image next to it, and I was just being like, and I turned over and I saw Swampert for the very first time in that book, and I just my mind exploded because I love Swampert, and I was just like, so at that point, that was like, and then like I understood fully what was going on at that point, like when you played that game, because the mechanics, type-ins, disadvantage, all that jazz, and it puts a new flavor on it when you play. Oh mate, I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it. Like it's so good, mate. Nostalgia is a powerful thing.
But it helps that at least again in sharing your passion for Ruby and Sapphire, it helps that was and might be, at least in my opinion, one of the, if not the best Pokemon game to have come out. Like it was, as the meme is, perfect down to the last micro file.
Or if you're IGN, they say that there was too much water. There's too much water in the Hoenn region.
Call of Duty though, 10 out of 10.
Even though the game is about land mass and water, but never mind. Never mind. But no, man, like it was just Ruby. That entire era of Pokemon for me was, when I understood it, my favorite. But fight me. But no, it was like, it was just so good. The anime was good. The game was fantastic, and that's when they spiraled into the GameCube getting their first games, being like in the full Pokemon Coliseum. Pokemon XD launched the first full 3D RPG on a console, right? That wasn't on you, and man, it's just I just love it. And and it's the music made every single time. Anytime I hear a bit of music from Ruby and Sapphire, I'm just straight down memory lane, mate. And I need to have my headphones on. Yeah. It's just
you just sit back, don't you? You just sit back and it just hits. Talking of like there was actually someone was asked, do you remember in the original, so Pokemon Blue and Red and Yellow, where was it that you remember getting stuck on? Like, was there a moment like that when you were a kid where you were like, Mom or Dad, like, well, I don't know how to do this, or like, what's going on here? Like, what was that for you?
So the main one that comes to mind on Yellow was two things, right? So do you remember to access Saffron City, you had to give a cup of tea or water, I'm not sure when it changed, but one of them to the guards, either stationed at the north, east, south, or west rooms, right? So every time you used to go in, it would say, you can't go there for whatever reason, but I'm actually quite parched. That was obviously the clue. And I remember being stuck in that game for ages going, I don't want to do. I don't know how to get past this. And I remember someone showing us, if you went to the Celadon City department store, top floor with a vending machine, if you got a water or a tea or whatever, I think it was that, and you would take it to the guard, he would give you the cup of tea, and then you'd unlock the entrance to Saffron. That was one. Getting Fly was another one, because I think that was, if you went west of Celadon, there was a little cut where you could cut up. There was a small patch of grass, then nothing, but then there was a house, and you could actually walk through that house. And I never realised that there was a plate where you could walk through, but if you walked through that house, went up, there was another house that had a trainer and a Fearow, and she would give you HMO2 to fly. First time I found Fly.
I don't remember that.
Mind blown. And the last one was in Saffron again, the Slivcore building. So if you remember in the Slivcore building, when Team Rocket had taken over, all the doors had barriers on them, and you needed a card key to unlock them. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
But to get that card key, you had to trick one of the walk panels. So on one of the floors,
do
you remember? You had to walk on the panel, go off it, go back on, make sure you're facing the right way,
and
walk along, then get the card key. And I was honestly, I'm talking weeks, mate. I could not do that. And I remember a friend just going, "Oh, you just go here, and picked it up." And I remember going to a family party with my Game Boy. I was like, I know how to do it now, and I'm progressing with the game, and I don't care what's going on. I'm playing through it now, and I know I've been stuck for weeks. So, what about you? That was like one of those are my top 3, definitely in yellow, 100%.
So I never completed the original because I was a bit too young. Oh, I got a bit stuck. I got quite far through, but at that point I was bought Pokemon Silver.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
I really got into Silver, and then but then about halfway through I got given Crystal, and I was like, okay, cool. So I did complete Silver, and then I went to Crystal, and I was like, wait, it's the same game. Oh, but there's some small differences.
Slight changes.
I was enjoying it. You know, Silver and Crystal were definitely good, but I think would be a lot better if I was to experiencing them now, because I haven't played Soul Silver, and I would love to. I've heard it's really good. Yeah. But I did play Fire, Leaf Green and Fire Red, and that's where I completed them like throughout, and that's where obviously I know some of the things you're talking about. But back in the OG days, I got stuck on, it was the second gym leader, where you have to use cut to enter the gym, right? Frischio, where I forget what the city. What's the
Vermilion? So
Vermilion, yeah. Was it Vermilion?
Sorry. Yeah. When you cut down, walk left and up. Yeah,
left and up. Yeah. So that gym, it was like great. Got in, did everything I needed to do. Everyone was blasting. Also for me, cut was great. Like just seemed to work really well. So I used it. Now, what they didn't, I don't think, consider back then. Nowadays, you can use cut if your Pokemon's dead. I don't know about the whole PP situation, if you can still use it through PP, but back then you couldn't. So I left the gym leader feeling really happy with myself. Like, yeah.
So this is Lieutenant Surge, right? So you'd beat Lieutenant Surge, the electric one, right? Okay, and you're coming out. Yep.
It wasn't electric. They were like bug or they were grass, right? Because you had to use cut to cut the tree in. Like the whole thing was about grass, wasn't it?
Okay, sorry then. So Celadon City was the grass one where there's loads of cutting, and you're right. You had to come out. You hopped over a fence, went right all the way, and then there was a little tree that you'd cut to get through.
Yeah,
Is that the one you mean?
I think so.
Oh,
to be honest with you, I don't remember the gym as much as I remember that bloody tree.
So, oh god! So right.
Obviously, cut him, did the gym, came out, went up to the tree because it respawned in whenever you go in and out, and I was like,
PP.
"Use cut. Your this move doesn't have any PP," and I'm like, "Okay." So I understood enough to be like, right, do I have any PP ups? Right, because that's all I could think of. And I looked through all my items. And I was like, I then thought. I need to white out. I need to die. I need my party to lose. So I went back in, but I had already killed but I defeated all of the trainers. So I couldn't
white out, so to speak. I
couldn't faint and go to the Pokemon Center. I didn't know what to do. Now I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking, could I have released maybe everything apart from one that was fainted? Or released everything that was alive, maybe, to somehow get back to it? And here's the kicker.
Oh, God, there's more.
I saved after I killed the gym leader. After I defeated the gym leader.
Oh, no.
I was so proud. I was like, right, I'll quickly save now. And so there was nothing to load back to.
Honestly, that's heartbreaking. Could you have not have taught cut to another Pokemon?
No.
None of them that you had could have had it.
I had. No, they were not able.
I mean, we're talking to it. I know you were children back then, right? So probably wouldn't even.
Yeah. I do remember trying because my main Pokemon had it, and I think that was the only Pokemon, or there was like one or two that had it, and I'd been using it.
Okay. And that's heartbreaking. Yeah. So what happened? You had to wipe the game, or
had to wipe the game
and start fresh?
Yeah. Oh. It was a rough one. It was a rough one,
mate.
Talking about Gen 1 though, we were talking about the music.
Oh man.
And when I was growing up, I would remix the battle in my head, because the thing that I found was epic was, you knew you were going to a difficult challenge when the music would slow down, where it would go dun 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 dun, 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 and I would make remixes up in my head where it'd be like this epic thing where it just like no music, just dun,
oh, I've got goosebumps already. Yeah.
dun,
Do, 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 do. Oh, mate. So good. So good. Honestly, the soundtrack on Pokemon is absolutely fantastic. Like they nail the hype and battle themes, like the chill vibes of walking through like routes, the vibes in forests and stuff. So good, man. Yeah. Like it's so good. It's so good.
And one of the things they did, I think it was in Ruby, is they merged the tracks really well. So they would quiet it down as you would leave, and then it would gradually build
up again.
And it would seamlessly sort of transition. That was really, I think that was in Ruby actually. That was you would definitely get that quieter and louder sort of thing. But going back to Gen 1, did you use nicknames?
I love how we keep veering off to Gen 3 every 2 minutes, because we love all Pokemon, but going to Gen 3 just it just pulls the heartstrings. Did I use
a year of podcasts? Gen 3.
There we could do it. I could talk Gen 3 for 100 episodes without a doubt. A doubt. So, did I use nicknames? I did not.
Neither did I.
Okay, I wasn't expecting you to say...
What was, like, because you must have had a thought in your head, right?
I did. Like, yeah. So this is a hot take, right? Because many people nickname their Pokemon, right? Like they do, like they personalize whatever. I think it was because it was an anime influence, I think. So when I'm watching Ash using Charizard, he's saying Charizard, right? Like, and I didn't want to change that. I did, however, like when we had when Pokemon the first movie came out, and the two trainers who have Venusaur and Blastoise called Brute Root for the Venusaur, and I think it was Shell Shocker for the Blastoise. Whenever I played through Yellow again, I did nickname them then. Just purely those two. But other than that, and I think maybe Pikachu to Sparky after seeing Richie Sparky from the Indigo Plateau. That's the only time I've ever done it. I've never... And sometimes I call more recent games, because I watch the Japanese anime now. I know Charizard's Japanese name is Lizardon, and equally Greninja's is Gekuga. And because I've loved watching them battle in the Japanese side of anime, I did call my Greninja through X and Y, etc. Yeah. We'll not go down that route, but that's the only time I've ever. So maybe I could count in one hand. I've used nicknames, and that's the rationale why. What about you? Like if you've had a reason for it, then.
Yeah, it's similar. Not really rooted necessarily in the anime, but calling my Blastoise Bob, doesn't
really have the right.
Yeah, doesn't really know. And I mean, I kind of did once. I tried it, and I was just like, yeah, but that's not. I'm not putting my name on a Pokemon. So I don't know. It was weird. I always thought that is Charmander. That is Charmeleon. That is Charizard. That is not something else. And so it's a bit of a hot take as well. I know a lot of people that really loved nicknaming their Pokemon, and after their like just whatever they'd like to, for whatever reason, they attach some sort of value, like sentimental name and stuff to them, and that's cool. But for me, it's always been I'd never ever change anyone's nickname, because I just feel like they're the Pokemon. Yeah, that's their name. Just sorry, technical difficulty. Your mic is not being picked up.
And we're back now.
There we are. We're back now.
I muted it because I didn't want to burp, if I'm being totally honest with you, down the microphone.
I appreciate the honesty.
You're welcome. What I was saying though, before I decided I was going to burp, was... it's not like you nicknamed your Blastoise, to your point, Bob, sent out Bob to battle, and he's going, Bob! Yeah. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's Blastoise, right? So, like, I get that. I'm totally with you there. I'm totally with you.
Yeah.
I love it. Absolutely love it. Keep it like that. I mean, did you? How much of the? I mean, we touched on the anime a couple of times. I mean, did you watch the anime at all? Is that like a regular in your household when you were? Yeah.
Pokemon was massive. My dad did not like that. My dad would. Pokemon was when I started watching the anime. It was all I would ever think about and talk about. I got all of the OG TCG cards, every single one. Nice. I had a binder, the collector's album 1-5, and I had every single not 1-5-1, but I had every single one. I'll always remember a story for another time, but there was this guy that I thought was my friend, and he took my Blastoise, my Charizard, and my Venusaur from my binder, and just took them, stole them. I was like, no, and so that was really sad. But up until recently, I still had them. And I think I still do have every single one of them, including Charizard, Blastoise, and Venusaur. I have my binder. My mum is moving house in a couple of weeks, and I am going to go into the attic.
Mate,
I am pretty sure that, before I left to Sweden, they were still all there. I remember just randomly playing with them, just before I left to Sweden. And I remember putting them in a drawer, and they're all there. I know I took over at some randomers out. I've got a Chansey over there that I've got a Chansey Ninetales, but I don't know where my Ninetales is because it would go right
perfectly with your piece, right? Yeah. Mate, you have to find that. If that's something we could show on here, that would be incredible. Mate, the nostalgia. I would be so happy just to see your childhood cards coming on screen, mate. Heck yeah.
I just want to talk about the Game Boy Advance, and I want to talk about all of the memories, but that is just Gen 3. And before we go any further, we're going to take a small break here to do a small shout out. So I don't know about you, which other Pokemon YouTubers that you've been watching recently. For me, I've been watching, I don't know if you've been watching Dirty the Dad.
Have indeed. Love Dirty. Shout out Dirty.
He's awesome. He's really, really awesome. We're meant to be duoing on one of the poker phrases at some point. We need to get in one of the poke phrases, or one of the thing that Becca does. Shout out to that great game on one of the games night. We want to be in it together and then duoing together. So it's going to be great.
I'm here for it.
We can't wait.
He's so good. Well, Dirty's great. So Dirty's a PokeTuber. He does do TCG unboxings where he does plenty of giveaways to viewers. But he's equally recently been doing a load of playthroughs. Right? I think he recently did a Super Mario game. I can't remember at the top of my head which one it was. But then his most recent playthrough was Pokemon Shine and Pearl. I believe it was on the Switch. Yeah. Into Sinnoh. Again, we're going down the lane here. I'll have to stop because we'll start talking about Sinnoh for about another hour. But it was great fun. We're talking of nicknames. He actually had spin wheels on giveaways or whatever, and whoever won got to pick a nickname for Dirty's Pokemon he's playing through. So I don't even think I even got included in the original one, or I was part of the original selection for his first one, but he named his Turtwig PTM because he knew it was going to turn into Torterra, and he knows I love Torterra, so shout out Dirty. Love Dirty. Lovely guy. What a lovely guy.
He had a brilliant, kind of his final party. It's a lot of Gen 1 vibes, because he's got Golem, Golduck. So he's got his rock and ground sorted with massive defense. He's got his water psychic kind of with Golduck. He's got Charizards, which, I mean,
he loves the Charizard. Dirty does. Loves the Zard.
He's got Luxray, which that's a shout out. That was Gen 3 as well, wasn't it?
That was 4. That was 4. Yeah, it was 4. It was 4.
Yeah. What am I thinking about Gen 3? Is that Manelectric? Is that Electrike?
Yeah, Electrike and Manelectric were Gen 3.
Yeah, I called it Manelectric.
Manelectric.
Manelectric. Even today, I would still call it that. That's just what I remember it.
Mate, we had a healthy voice note session on this, if you recall. I used to call Suicune Suicine.
Yeah.
So let's
not only that, I called it, and still do, called it Swizine.
Swizine?
There is no one told us. We know, so I do Swizine for some reason.
Oh,
and then you had Suicine, and it's actually Suicune. Who would have thought?
I'm laughing. I called it suicide for a good 5+ years. I'm pretty sure you called Arceus as well, like in the most inappropriate way as well. Wasn't even for an inappropriate. That's what it sounded like whenever you said his name. But anyway, shout out to Dirty. Great guy. Absolutely great guy. Great guy.
Random question: Weedle or Caterpie?
Caterpie.
Yeah. Had to be.
Yeah.
I prefer Weedle than Caterpie, but I much prefer Butterfree because Ash, right?
Yeah, that's exactly where my head's at. That and that Bye Butterfree episode. The time has come. No, I'll not go down there. That was a heartbreaking episode in my head, by the way.
That was hard.
As a child, I was not prepared to watch that episode at the age of whatever age I was.
No, and the Charmander special as well, where he's like left. Like that was quite early in the episodes, wasn't it?
When he was left on the rock. Oh, good lord! Abandonment.
Man,
that early on in Pokemon, couldn't deal with it.
There was so much. There was so much. The Pikachu, the thunderstorms in like episode 3 or 4 and stuff. It was. Yeah.
Well. What was your not the saddest one then, but what was your favorite moment of the anime then that you remember? Purely Kanto.
I am not going to go into the movies because one of the favorite moments was when all of the Pokemon's tears were coming together. That was just such an impactful scene. It was incredible to all like combine together. I really, really, really liked that for Ash. Like, I also loved all the Pokemon. I watched quite a lot of the Pokemon movies. I loved Entei for some reason. The whole Protector and
Entei. Yeah, man.
It was just incredible. But in terms of the OG favorite moment, there were quite a few, but I will always remember. It was this. I think it was a Christmas special.
Oh, right. I think it was the same thing as me there. No, go on. Yeah, Christmas special.
It was the feeling around the time for some reason. It really sits with me. And it was just they were all happy. All the Pokemon were inside and there was a fire going. And they were all helping build the tree and they were all helping in certain ways. And outside was like a storm or it was like a blizzard and they were all having to stay in. And then it was just this lovely family feeling of their friends all together. And it was... It really resonated with me, and so that if I had to name a favorite off the top of my head right now, that would probably be where
that's so nice. That is lush.
What about you? What's your you got something in mind?
I don't have something as quite as all it was, mate. It was I think the episode was called Volcanic Panic.
Okay,
and it was the episode where Charizard listened to Ash, I believe briefly, for the very first times.
Oh yeah, I remember this.
So when he had the battle, so Team Rocket come down at the volcano on Cinnabar Island, and they blast it with I think it was like ice missiles, whatever. The core it starts to erupt, right, and they use all the Pokemon help to block the lava flow, and at the end, Charizard and Magmar, Ash's and Blaine's Pokemon, put the final boulder down and they look at each other, and then fire burns in both of their eyes. And then they're basically the transfer into the battle, and I still remember they're at the top of the volcano, and Ash goes to use Pikachu, and I was like, I don't know how Pikachu's going to do this. And then you just see Charizard stamp down, and the camera pans up to him and looking down at Pikachu, and he's like going like this. And I was like, no way, and he jumps down, and then Ash is just commanding him, and Charizard versus Magmar happens, and it was just... I still remember mate, I still remember watching it on ITV, wherever it was, standing up in my grandma's house, just like being like, yes! Magmar fire blasts Charizard straight away to start the battle off, and he just grips it, and he's roaring and he's pulling it and he just throws. Oh, mate, I'm gonna have to watch it after this. It was so good. It was so good.
What was really good about that as well is that obviously all the different episodes where he had been trying to command Charizard to do something, and he just would be so boisterous about it all and just not be interested. And then there was that really important moment that was really needed, and he's looking, he's thinking, and there's that time, isn't there, where you just have it on him. And he's just thinking, and he's realizing this needs to happen.
So good, man. So good. I mean, it lasted all the 5 minutes of the battle because the minute it ended, he's flame throwing him in the face and back to his normal self, right? But that brief moment was fantastic. One episode that comes to mind in Gen 1 that I still... obviously, I'm not bothered about it now, but back then was when he was in the Pokemon League, and he would, I think it was his top 16 match or whatever it was, Ash and the whole first half of the episode was Team Rocket. Did they steal his Pokemon, or did they steal him? So they make a guise about his rival at the time was Richie in the Pokemon League, and Jesse gets like a voice cover saying you come meet his Ash, and then I'm sure he gets kidnapped with Pikachu, and the entire first half of the episode is Ash escaping, trying to get back to the Indigo Plateau to meet the deadline so he can battle Richie, and it goes on and on and on. And like I remember being so frustrated. Like I mean, probably not the right word as a kid, but you were annoyed, right? Because his Pidgeotto was out for the count because he'd pulled him all the way there, and the battle felt like it was so one-sided because he hadn't have time to heal. He was off, he didn't have many chances, and I just remember being so frustrated because this last thing he put up Charizard. And he fought Zippo, I think it was Richie's Charmander, beat him. Not really beat him. They never really properly battled on the first gen, did they? It was like kind of to and fro. Richie retrieves Charmander, sends out Sparky's last Pokemon, and Charles just refuses to battle. And Ash is like, please, please, please. And I still remember to this day that shot where it's called that he loses. And you just see him like, the animation's so good because you can feel the rawness, but he shakes with like frustration when the ball as he returns Charizard, and you don't see his eyes, the cap's down.
No, yeah, the cap's down. Yeah,
and it's just
black
there, and I'm like, oh, yeah. I'm being like so upset as a child, but man, like it just see what I mean though. It gets you in so many different fields, man. It's just it's my happy place, man. I love it.
Yeah, I mean those moments get enhanced so much when Ash has always been a happy character, right? He's so happy, he's like super enthusiastic, and then to see his like cap sort of down, sort of thing like that, it's like that hits different.
It hits raw, man. It hits raw. It does. It really does. So good.
So,
I think we've talked through all of Kanto's memories, my friend.
Well, there was one thing I was going to ask you.
Go on, mate. I'm here for it. Hey, I'll talk about Pokemon.
Here we are.
Here we are. So, I'm happy to be here, as I should probably say.
We need to get a trademark somewhere. We need to get a trademark.
We do. We
really do. So, obviously, I've spoken about having all the different cards from the original set in Gen 1. From that original set, which card was your favorite? And if you can hold back from saying Charizard, because that is it's hard not to, but if we were to think of all the different cards that base set has,
yeah.
Which what's a couple of notable shout outs for you, a couple of notable cards that really you thought, wow, that's beautiful?
At the top of my head, I don't think I had many of base set cards. So I think my first experience with the TCG, I think my mum took me to Argos, original Argos back in the day, where you had the big green machine buttons and that. And she bought me, it was a Machamp starter deck, I believe it was. And the Machamp was hollow. And it was first edition, and I've still got it to this day. In my binder upstairs. Still got it. It's a bit battered, as of course, because the kids, you just put your cards in your pocket. You didn't walk about sleeves or anything like that. But yeah,
I used to play on the pavement. I'd play on the side of the road with other friends, and
don't. No, I get you, man. I get you. But yeah, Machamp for one. I remember one guy in school having Charizard. I never owned a base of Charizard until like within the last couple of years. But again, base set wise, I don't think I had many. I didn't. It was more when we got into later sets like Jungle, Fossil, where more expanded out and things. But the base set is purely Machamp. What about you? I mean, you just said you've got an entire.
I've got
a master set.
It's hard. Yeah, it's really hard because I remember each of them, and I remember playing with them a lot, especially the holo cards, and they were all beautiful. Even as far as even a Jinx. Jinx looked amazing. All of these different Chansey looked incredible. They did such a great job. I have to go Ninetales.
Obviously, of course, great card.
Favorite.
Yep.
Yeah, favorite. It was like the melodic of Gen 1. Like it was that very proud, very elegant, and just really, and Flareon was very close for me because Flareon had this hint of like purple and green, like in the hollowness. It had these different shades of different colors, and I loved that.
So I'm not being disrespectful by looking at my phone, right? But I've just because because we're talking about it, I can't picture all of base set for whatever reason. But I think Flareon was jungle. I think because like it's jumping over and it's got all those color themes. To your point,
I think
it's that one.
That might have been the jungle then, yeah. Because obviously I collected more and more obviously as time went on.
Over time, no, absolutely.
But the Ninetales.
The Ninetales looks like it's got the blue wisps next to it.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It's beautiful. I loved Alakazam, but I didn't. Not actually for the artwork, but it was just a banger of a card. Like it was.
I'm looking at it now. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I think the only other base set holo. Sorry to cut you off. I think the only base set holo I had looking through here was the Mewtwo. Mewtwo and Machamp. I mean, you've got Alakazam, Blastoise, Chansey, Charizard, Clefairy, Gyarados, Hitmonchan, Magneton, Nidoking, Ninetales, Poliwrath, Raichu, and Venusaur were the main holos. I think I had two of them. There you are, just two of them. So good.
I'm looking through because I also want to look at the.
You're gonna look at that Ninetales artwork and just being throw back through memory lane here. You're gonna love it.
Oh my god, yeah, Magneton was
sick, man. Honestly, the artwork was stunning, mate. Absolutely stunning.
So for me, you see Chansey was Chansey's there as well, and for me it was Ninetales. Poliwrath was definitely one of the higher ones.
Yeah, man, that was great. Great card.
So yeah, my gut was going with Ninetales. And actually, no. My other favorite, the other notable mention is Hitmonchan. Yeah, Hitmonchan, and Hitmonchan because it had all the different little sparkles in the background. It wasn't just one color; it was these different sparkles. It was like this sort of knockout punch, and it was just the card was simple, but it was beautiful.
It still gets me to this day, mate. If you ever get a swirl, just a tiny sparkly swirl in the hollow of some of the original ones, it's just like. People love the swirls, man. If you got a swirl, you're living your best life. You're living your best life, mate. There you go. There you are.
That's lovely.
Mate, that was hey, listen, that was a wonderful trip down memory lane, mate.
It really was.
I loved it. I loved every second of it.
So some of the things that we are going to be looking at, potentially some questions that we might be looking to tackle on the next podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I have got a thought of our favorite types from Gen 1, maybe Gen 2. Maybe next.
Might jump into Johto next time. Is what you're trying to?
Maybe Johto. Yeah, maybe Johto.
I'm here for it.
If we can hold ourselves back from talking about
Gen 3. The Gen 3 one's going to be like a 4-hour podcast. Then we're going to talk about. Well, perhaps if you haven't listened all the way through this, perhaps that's probably your question back to you guys. Let us know, right? What was your fondest memory or first memory of Pokemon? We would love to hear about it. Let us know. Let us know in the comment sections if you're watching on YouTube, or you can reach out to us certainly on email, which is PokemonTrainerMike1@gmail.com. We are going to probably do something a bit different in the future, but if you want to get in touch, that would be great. And we could shout you out. We can talk around it. We can give you a shout out if you've got a channel. Happy to do so. It's all about the community. It is all about the community.
Yeah, and if you've got any questions as well, like
for real,
anything at all, like we'll probably, if some come up and they're like really cool, if we get anything, we'll kind of finish off with that at the end as well. So yeah, it's been a pleasure to talk to you about Gen 1 and relive relive those times, Pokemon Trainer Mike. It's been
I want to put soundtrack back in my ears. I want to boot up my Game Boy. I want to watch Volcanic Panic on the anime. It's on Netflix right now. I'm pretty sure it's still there. I'm just all here for it, mate. I'm all here for it.
So that's Yu-Gi Boy. Yeah, oh wait, it's not Yu-Gi-Oh. Sorry, this is
wrong one, right? Yes. Totally wrong franchise. I mean, we can do a Yu-Gi-Oh or no. So that's been our first episode of the PokéCast. If you have enjoyed this and you want to continue listening on, please consider subscribing, following us on any of our socials, etc. We'll be loading every week with, as what Brad's just said there, we're definitely and most likely going to drop into Gen 2 on the next one. Anything else to say, Bradley?
No, that's it. It's been lovely. It's been really nice. Looking forward to the next one already.
Indeed, it's been a pleasure. All right, well, from both of us, thank you for listening, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.